Hey y'all, it's Susie. Welcome back to my craft room again. Okay, we are to the point where we are doing our supplement, and we're going to go ahead and cover the inside of our journal. And so we are going to take our pieces that we cut. Did we not cut? I guess we didn't cut the centerpiece for that. So I want to leave these a little long so they'll fit underneath. And I'm going to leave about I might leave a ½ inch, or add an extra ½ inch from here. So I think I measured this at 3 and, well, that looks like about 3 1/8. Well, it is. So let's do 3 5/8 wide. So that's what I had. No, I had 3 3/8. So let's do 3 5/8. And then this we're not. This we want to go not even quite to the edge. So you just want to slice it just a tad bit smaller than 7 3/8. Okay, so just a notch below that. So I'm going to go and measure this, and I'm going to do it on the on the wrong side of the paper this time. So this is going to be 3 5/8. Okay. All right, let me just I want to double check this. 3 1/8. So, yep, 3 5/8. I want to just double check this one. It'll be 7 3/8. So it's a tad smaller than that. So I want to go 7 3/8. So it's a tad smaller. 1 2 3. So that'd be what? 5/16, I guess, is what that would come out to be. Oh, don't make me do math, y'all. Two. All right. You just measure and make sure I've got it on the same spot. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now draw my lines. All right, so then we're going to glue this piece in place. And we want the same amount overlapping on either side. Is this cleared up yet? Gosh. Oh, my Lord. All right, when I get done with this, I'm going to soak this tip for sure. Ugh. I can barely get that to work. All right, so now I want to place this. Remember, you want it just shy of the edge. So that's going to be perfect, right? Yeah. And it's overlapping about the same amount on each side, so that's a good thing. Oop, just moved it. Okay. All right, yeah, see with this glue, I can move it just a little bit if I'm off. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So then all we have to do is put our front and back covers on. Again, make sure if you have, if this paper has a direction to it, meaning if this were on the outside, obviously this way goes up. So if this has a direction to it, make sure you are choosing the side that, so when you put this in here, that both are going in the right direction. But since mine doesn't, I need to quit playing with that or I'm going to make a mess. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put glue down. I'm going to pray this works out. Oh, that's a little bit better, not too much. That's like a full-time job trying to get that glue out, y'all. Okay, so now we want to make sure it doesn't go over the edge at the top or the bottom or the side over here. We want this to look just right. Got my corner a little bit too far that way, so I need to move that over just a hair. Slide that. I didn't cut this exactly right. Doesn't look like, but that's okay. It's going to go in place just fine. All right. Okay. Now, if you don't have scrapbook paper, you can use coffee dyed paper, you know, just whatever plain paper you have. You don't have to have anything special to do this. Really, you don't. And so don't think that you have to run out and buy scrapbook paper or, you know, print out, you know, extra pieces of the kid or anything like that. You don't. You can use plain coffee dyed paper. You can take a stamp and stamp, you know, whatever images you want. You know, you can paint it. You can just, there's just a million solutions. So you don't have to have anything special. And that's what I love about junk journaling is you get to use everything. You save everything. You can use everything. And, you know, we tend to buy all these, you know, fancy supplies and we get away from using the junk. And, you know, that kind of takes away from the junk journal idea. But, you know, whatever we make, I don't call them junk journals. I call them treasure books because they actually are our treasures. You know, we put so much of ourselves into what we make, and it absolutely is a reflection of ourselves, you know, of our style of what we like. Okay, so now I'm just going to let that dry for a little bit. I don't want to try to fold this yet, or I'm going to end up messing my creases up here. But you do want to make sure that anytime you work in the crease that you have that pushed in real good. Those creases pushed in really, really well. Uh-oh. See what happens when you mess with it wet? You tear it. Yep. I did a fine job on that one too. Okay. Just paper. It's just paper. Okay. But make sure you've worked it down in those creases really well so that when you do close up your book, it's not going to, you know, make your paper break or tear or whatever. So that looks really nice. Don't y'all think that looks really, really nice? So we're going to let that dry a little bit. Now I want to talk about a book and how a book is put together. Okay. So this is just a book that I fully intend to tear apart. Now in this video, I'm not going to show you how to take this book block out of the cover. I'll do that in another video. But I'm actually going to tear this book apart. There was a series of these books and I lost part of the set. And so this is a nice old vintage book. And I just love the feel of these papers. I love the images in here. I love the font. There's not much about this book I don't love. So anyway, this is your cover. This is what we call the cover. this is your spine. This is the outside of the spine, and underneath this book block is the inside of the spine. And you can see here there's a piece of fabric that's, in a lot of books, this has already come apart a little bit. And when you fold the book, there's, you know, like space in between there. Well, this one was very well put together back in the day. But these are your signatures that were sewn actually into this piece of fabric, and then this piece of fabric was glued onto the spine. Well, we aren't professional bookmakers, and so, you know, we don't sew our signatures into a piece of fabric and then glue the fabric onto the spine as a general rule. Now, I have done that, and it looks great. It looks, you know, pretty professional. However, as a general rule, we don't do that. I mean, like 99 times out of 100, or maybe even, you know, 999 times out of 1,000, we don't do it. We just don't. If you want to, you know, do better bookbinding, I recommend that you go over and check out Nick the Booksmith. She has some amazing, amazing tutorials on making books. And she actually has classes as well. Now, if you look at the top of these books, I may not have picked a great book to see, you will see that they are actually separated into signatures. Now, what a signature is, it's a group of pages that are folded together and then sewn into that spine, or in this case, into the fabric. I may have to pick a different book. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see this. I want to find the center of one of these signatures. I may have just done that. Let's see. Well, that's the beginning of one, it looks like. Okay. For a book that is not quite so unused, it's a whole lot easier than this to find the center. I may have to reach around and grab a different book, because this one is really tight. I should have checked that before I came on camera. All right, let me grab a different book real quick. Oh. Uh-oh, I think I shook everybody to death. Uh-oh. What is this? Well, this is one I've already taken apart, so let me see. Alright, this is a perfect example. Alright, this is an old book of some kind. I don't know. I just grabbed it out. But I chose this one because you can actually see the separate signatures in here. See how those are? So, if you go to, you know, the dump or, you know, a thrift store or whatever, and the covers are all messed up, don't worry about it. As long as you can repurpose the covers, the spine didn't really matter because we're going to make our own anyway, right? Oh, this is an old cookbook. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to identify one of the signatures. Let me see. All right. We know this is a signature. And this book is pretty loose, so you can see where these pages have thread going through them. So I want to find the middle of this signature, which I think I just did. I did. I hope y'all can see this. You can see where the threads are. See that? See those threads? Okay. So what I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to cut out these threads. And there's usually, you know, 3, 4, 5, something like that. You know, if you have a pokey tool, you can use that to go up under them with. Maybe I can't grab my pokey tool right off the end. Okay. And just cut those apart. And you may have to, bend your book backwards a little bit. These pages are so fragile. Goodness. Okay. And I have one more after this. So, when we go to sew our signatures in, like I said, I have 3 signatures that I'm going to be sewing into my journal. So, I'm going to pull this signature out. So, it's a group of pages. See, just like we folded up, that was sewn into, say, the spine of the book. So that's what a signature is. It's just a group of pages that was sewn into the spine. So if I were to take this book apart, signature by signature, we would have full pages like that. And so, it's useful, not to just rip all your pages out the book. If you need, say, a bigger page to cover, like a journal with or something like that, you're going to want these long pages. Otherwise, we use book pages for tons and tons of things because we have so many book pages. But yeah, I could pull out signature after signature. I've cut this, and it seems to be that a lot of the signatures are sewn in kind of like with the running stitch. I hope that makes sense, where this one wasn't necessarily tied off separate from the other ones. They just took the thread and went right into the next one without tying it off and cutting it. And that will be, kind of the way it works. Now, you normally have like your title page in the book, and you'll find your copyright. This one's copyright 1965, so it's a pretty old book. And then you have usually a blank page, and most of the time there's a blank page in the front. I think those are called fly pages. Save your fly pages separate from your book pages, because you'll use those for things. The color is just amazing. The feel of the paper, there's nothing like the feel of the older paper. So, but yeah, this is another one of the signatures here, and this one may have been in. So it was. This is the center of one. So it looks like it. Nope, this one was sewed in with the same running thread that was used in these. So now I have taken 3 signatures out of this book. Of course, their signatures are much smaller than mine as far as the thickness of them. They're using different paper, they're using a different binding technique, and they certainly don't have theirs embellished like I do. They don't have pockets and tucks and journaling cards and things like that. So that's, one reason why they get so many signatures into one book. I can't even imagine how many's in here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Looks like about 17 plus 3. About 20 signatures they had in this one book. And this book is over 500 pages. So, yeah, they can, do a lot, with professional bookbinding. Like I said, if you want to learn more about bookbinding, I recommend Nick the Booksmith over anybody. She was actually the first person I found on YouTube. I was looking for a way to fix a Bible, an old Bible cover. And so I found her, and I got hooked, and that was kind of the end of that story. Okay, so let's see how our pieces are doing here. Yeah, that's coming up. I tried to bend that too soon. All right, so let your pieces dry a little bit. And once they do, then you can, fold up your journal cover. So tomorrow we are going to go ahead and sew. I'm going to show you how to mark where you're going to place your signatures in here. So be sure to come back tomorrow to see how we make I'm going to show you how to make a template, for your cover and for your pages, because you're going to have to punch holes in those, and then how to actually do a pamphlet stitch to sew in your signatures. And then, of course, we will cover the spine. So, and then that will finish up our journal. So I hope y'all are excited to get this done. I feel so blessed to have been doing this with you. And then the day after that, we're going to jump into our new series, and we are going to work on making a ring-bound journal. So that will be a lot of fun. So if you've never made a ring-bound journal, you're not going to want to miss that. I want to welcome all my new subscribers. I gained quite a few overnight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad to have you here. We are a great little community here. Thank you. And for all my regular subscribers, you know, that have been here with me for a little bit, thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't want to call y'all old, but, you know, y'all kind of know what I mean. So the ones that have been hanging around for a little bit. You know, I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you. Y'all just don't even know how much this means to me to have your support. Okay, I will see y'all tomorrow. Blessings and hugs to everybody. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. Or, of course, you can send me, you know, a private email. Thank you for those of you who asked me to do an explanation kind of how the book is put together. You know, and how that works and how, you know, what a signature exactly is and why we sew them in. And, you know, when we say we sew them in, people automatically assume we're going to sew them with a sewing machine. We are not. Now, some people do. And depending on how thick your signatures are, if you have a sewing machine, you can, you know, sew them in with the sewing machine. But most people you're going to see are going to do the pamphlet stitch to put them in there. Sometimes it's a 3 pamphlet stitch. Sometimes it's a 5. You know, and some get really creative on the outside to make a really, really pretty, like crisscross design, all kind of designs on the spine. So, you know, it's just what your fancy is. So anyway, thank you. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.